Have you guys seen any of that through LinkedIn or for some other, maybe through some of your groups, Ashley, that have you had anybody affected in your group?
So inside of my group, Cyber Tribe, I have not had anybody that's been impacted by job layoffs.
Good.
However, I have made everybody aware that trying to pursue a position in the federal government right now should be put on pause. All the things
Mhm.
that are happening right now, it doesn't make sense to put yourself into that drama, at least not at this state. But it's very easy to identify who, like just going on LinkedIn and putting in certain prompts, it's really easy to identify who was a federal employee who got laid off because they'll usually put their end date. And it's very easy to target them for scams. And so you have to really be paying attention to what you're responding to and not allow that desperation to have income coming in cloud your judgment and make you fall for these scams.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. How
yeah.
about you, Jay?
I've seen several people in my network announce that they were laid off from the federal government, and part of their galvanization is they're using a hashtag. I forget what it actually is, but they're using a hashtag to like group themselves together so that they can be easily found for different opportunities. But what that does is it easily makes them found by scammers. I don't know, like I said, I don't remember what the hashtag is. But the other issue is when you're a federal employee, you have a much different resume than a civilian. And like you said, Ashley, navigating and staying out of that mess, you're going to have to convert your resume from a federal one to a civilian one. And that's where these guys come in and they'll, like I said before, they steal people, real resume writers' information, and then pass that off like that's their credentials that they're using. And then from there, they'll steal your information and then access your credit card information when it comes to saying that your federal resume is not compliant with the new civilian requirements. They'll use whatever verbiage they have to sound
Mhm.
legitimate. And many federal people, when they get a job in the federal government, they don't leave. They typically retire from it. And when you're suddenly laid off and you don't know where to turn, and then you know this job market is horrible, then that's where the desperation immediately kicks in. And then you're more likely to go for things that you wouldn't. And it doesn't mean that you're not smart. It doesn't mean that you should feel stupid because you get scammed or anything like that. It's just, it's a learning experience if it did happen to you. And then what we do here with the Job Scam Report live videos is help you avoid those going forward.
And that's a good point too. There's something is very important point about the resume as well, because in the resume, federal resumes, they're much longer
Yeah.
than the civilian resume on a regular basis. In other words, if you just got your first federal job during your probation, that may not affect you as much as somebody who's been in 20, 30 years, because you're
Yeah.
required, when you put in, do a federal resume, you're required to put in everything that you've ever done from high school, from your first job to the time being, no matter how relevant it is, because they're basically tracking integrity as much as they are your experience. So
Mhm.
that's going to be a pause. So when you come back to the civilian life, you're going to need to truncate that in. I don't see that being a problem for a lot of federal workers, since they were new, they've been there under a year. The question might be, should I put my job there? I think you should put your job there if it's been like 9 months or 6 months or longer. You might want to consider it. It depends. It depends on the experience. It depends how relevant the experience is compared to the jobs that you'll be going to. So there's a lot of nuances there that you'll need to really consider. I don't want to give a blank slate answer saying, yes, do this, or no, don't do that. So that way you'll have to take it case by case depending upon what jobs, what the industry is, and what the market is. Ashley, did you have any advice for those who are in that situation?
When it pertains to that resume, it's interesting that you say that because every now and then I have people come to me who were working in federal that need to transition. And so what I usually say is about if you have to redo your resume, right? And you have to condense it some, 10, maybe 15 years, but usually about 10 years of experience, and then really target it to the positions that you're applying for. You might have had to do specific duties in your role that wouldn't apply to a position you're doing in the private sector, right? And so you want to focus in on the aspects of your responsibilities and accomplishments that have a direct correlation. And that's how you're going to start getting more interview opportunities. It's one of the things that I have my
Mhm.
clients do for cybersecurity is focus in on the aspects of your roles that specifically deal with the jobs you're applying to and then base your resume off of that. And then also just be mindful, just because somebody says that they're a resume writer, whether they are professional or not a certified resume writer, you really should be doing some checks to make sure that like they can create something for you that's going to get you opportunities, not just because they say that they have this credential, but check references, check backgrounds, see what their past clients have said that are actually legitimate that you can verify, because people will try to have like other people do it for them. You just got to be
Mhm.
careful, especially right now